the world outside of yourself, you do see it as foreign to you, meaning it's like you don't identify with it. We see it as something other or else, you know? And we see that it's okay, it's moving independently, it's happening on its own. We have a sense that I do influence it in some way, but it's happening on its own. Situations are coming, going, changing, appearing, disappearing. Everything about our about the world that we experience is changing. To the people that we experience that are with us, to what they look like, to what they do for a living, to what what's going on circumstantially in everybody's lives, what the world looks like, so and so. Everything's changing, and we see this. It's a very easy thing to observe. But then also, let's say like a situation changes in your life. It also creates a change in what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what you're believing, not just about yourself, but also about the world. So let's say your let's say somebody gives you a compliment, something feels good, something is delighted, happy. But a few days later, that person may ignore you and they may talk behind your back. And then something feels very insecure and sad. Let's say you you get a bonus at work and you got a good bit of money just coming into your life in that moment, and something feels very nice, something feels proud of the work that I've done, and feel like at the helm of life, empowered. But then another month or another year, some sort of situation arises and you had to pay some unexpected bills and a lot of money just went out, and now something's starting to feel insecure again, rather than uh, proud. Something feels maybe remorseful. So the problem here is this: the changing of the world and the situations we do not strongly identify with, but the changefulness of the states of mind, and you can put feelings and thoughts both in the same boat there. Here we identify greatly. So it's almost like we are this stuff living our experience in the world. This I am, but that out there I am not. So this is what changes in meditation, in self-inquiry acceptance. This just this direct teaching. You're asked to observe how changeful not only the experience of the world is, but also the experience of what we call the person is. Again, right? A little change in the outside causes a change in the inside as well. Something happens, and then again, uh, again, something good happens. I feel prideful, and happy. Something bad happens. I feel very insecure and sad and depressed. So sometimes it's feeling excited. Sometimes it's feeling negative. So the question here arises: as what do you observe these changeful states, which in the moment they feel so real and they feel, I am this, yet they go, you remain. Your experience of yourself does not change. It always remains I, me, myself. Whereas what you are observing, not only the experience of the world, right, but also the subtler states of mind. So pose this question to yourself here now. Who are you that observes the changeful states of mind? As what do you perceive these states appear and disappear, come and go? Now you can't go to mind to find an answer. You can't employ the mind to go look for you because it will talk about who you are. It may even have, of course, if it's heard these teachings, it's okay, it's awareness. Oh, it's the self. These are nothing but labels, and they ultimately won't answer the question. It's just an idea of what the answer may be. So you can't employ the mind, which itself is observed, to go find an answer. As what do I perceive these states come and go? Even the mental activity that may be there right now trying to solve this riddle, this question, is also being observed spontaneously, effortlessly. It is being acknowledged, it is being seen. Who are you seeing? Who are you, that is, knowing? It's nice and all to have a consistent meditation practice and try to, work our way up through the discoveries and the subtle findings and understanding. But sometimes these sorts of direct questions really cut the nonsense. They cut the journeying. And we have to be bold enough to look, despite what our we feel like what I understand and don't understand, or this is a very deep question. These are all judgments being seen. As what do you see? What is this me that none of these appearances of this changeful world sticking to? What is this me which observes even these very subtle states of mind appear to be so real, yet passing? Where am I all in all of this? This question is very fresh, because the moment you ask such a question, again, like your whole idea of your spiritual progress and practice until now, and what you understand, what you've learned, what you hope to get, all that falls apart in the simple asking of this question. All that is on pause. The looking is very fresh. It has to be very fresh because the looking is not conceptual. The seeing, the knowing is not conceptual. It is here regardless of how much practice has been done or not. So see that right now we're having this sort of spiritual discussion and something feels great maybe and something has some clarity, and then later you're with your family and all is chaos, and now something feels like, oh my god, overwhelmed and this and that. So what is observing these changeful states, yet itself not changing. Who are you? If anybody would like to share your discovery or insight into this, or perhaps any obstacle, please feel free. The fact is, I am aware of these states changing, right? I am aware of the changefulness of the world. I am aware of the changefulness of these subtle mental states, feeling good, feeling bad, feeling good, feeling bad. Who am I? As what am I observing this? As what am I perceiving this? What does that look like? Does it feel like anything? You may say, yeah, if it it looks like just nothing, emptiness, or it feels like peace and happiness. But notice how you're also, this is just describing things you are aware of. As what do you perceive even that? If in your experience, this question is just launching another like sort of mental attack of all these words and the mind trying to figure out the answer, and you say, I can't stop, just it's just thinking when this question is put forth, then at least observe this fact that whatever the mind says, it cannot be useful here. It cannot be the answer to this question because, again, it itself is being seen by you. So, again, the answer to this is not in what we are knowing, in what we are aware of. So it's useless. So regardless of if, let's say, that mental activity continues to persist, that's fine. But at least come to the understanding, the recognition that, okay, that the answer, the dialogue, useless for this question. In acknowledging this, already you're going to be less attached to your mental chatter, to figuring this out mentally. Here we have to really acknowledge the limits of mind, that it's only able to describe things, objects that you are aware of. But here, the target of the question is what perceives the objects. So it can't have any say in that. And two, acknowledge that I am already that which I am sort of seeking to discover in this question, because I am already aware of these very subtle states of mind. No matter, how depressed maybe you have been for the past month, or how excited and empowered you felt, and everybody in their experience understands this, that these states really change. They come and go so sporadically. And always, this has always just been the experience. There's never been a stable state that is the permanent state. So, and even before any sort of spiritual teaching found you, that was the experience. So I am already that which perceives all of these things change, yet myself not changing. Who am I?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Yeah, the second part is when you identify with your mental dialogue, meaning when you believe there is some truth in it, um, then you identify with it, I guess. That's what I mean. It's like you become your dialogue with the anger, the resistance, whatever it is in the situation.
Okay. So what do you
Because
mean
it's
by what
very
if there's?
hard,
Hmm.
because it's very hard when you don't, when you believe in a dialogue and not identify with it. It's like when you're angry and you believe that this person did this, did and that, and you believe you are right, let's say, as an example, then you're already in it. You're already in the dialogue. You're in a mental mess.
Yeah.
And when you're looking as an awareness, it's very hard at that point to look as the and be as an awareness at that point. And this is in regular daily life. I mean, just like, I mean, I'm not surrounded with super, I mean, spiritual people, and I'm not considering myself a spiritual either, but it's in daily tasks dealing with people, you know. People give pain to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about today, in these first 20 minutes, is actually even a step subtler than if in the moment you're able to disengage from the story and let go of belief in the mental dialogue. Here, what we are proposing is that even in that experience where you fully believe in the dialogue, or and you react and there's great dysfunction and you fight and whatever, regardless of what that is, right? Let's define it in this way. On the physical level, your experience is you fighting and arguing and being angry and shouting and whatever that is. On a subtle level, your experience is anger, frustration, um, restlessness. But soon the outside turns into normal, calm, regular. And then the subtle also turns into sort of maybe more peaceful, calm, regular.
Hmm. Hmm.
Regardless of if you believe in it or not, regardless of if you fall for it or not, regardless of if you react as anger or not, the fact remains that what you are aware of, what you observe, has changed. But you yourself remain as you are. Who are you perceiving all of this, even the really crazy movie of fighting against others and anger, being angry, even in that moment, like as what do you perceive, even that? So you see that this that's why I said earlier, right? Like it's nice to, of course, do the daily practice of like meditation and in the moment of these feelings arising, learning to observe, because of course that's like the cornerstone of this. But sometimes these sorts of deeper sort of questions where we sort of cut the daily practice part of it, we cut the progressing upwards out of it. It's a direct question to yourself right now. You know, so and again, whatever has happened. Whatever has been felt has been felt. As what do you see this? As what are you aware of it? What does that look like?
Knowingness, awareness. It's very hard to describe. There's no word to give it to it.
And is this knowingness or uh, beingness being seen as something?
No,
Is it being seen somewhere? You know, like is it at a distance from you?
no. Actually, whatever is happening, the mental chatter, the emotions, everything, that is in a distance from me.
Hmm. You as what?
That I don't, I can't explain that. Me as me
Hmm. Was that one not present in when anger was present?
was present.
Without which could anger be known? Could anger be seen to come and go? You know? So as that one, is there any particular name or form attributed to that one? And this is a sort of, again, a subtler question, which maybe, invites some mental dialogue again. But see, okay, you just said it can't really be is described, or it may be just we put a word to it, knowingness or awareness. Even the sensations and emotions and feelings are at a quote unquote distance, whereas this is like myself. Is there any name or form attributed to that? If so, as what?
Just the space.
So you know, like the self that we try so hard to find, or this this piece or something that we try so hard to find, we have to really acknowledge in this very direct way that regardless of the activity of the body and whatever it's being engaged in, regardless of the state of the mind and what it looks like, this is the background at all time. And it is not something else. It is not something apart from me. Is there anything rose about that one? Because even rose is being observed at a distance. Anything you can call rose is part of the perceptual activity, either the changefulness of the body or whatever, and the changefulness of the mental states and personalities and this and that being observed by you, that one. Regardless of how strong that appearance gets you immersed, right? Like, say, that anger when it arises, or that sense of overwhelm when it arises, no matter how much you become completely immersed in that appearance, when you really look in this way with a clear uh, approach, do you ever stop being yourself? Do you ever stop being anything other than what you are as that which we just sort of unlayered and exposed?
No.
So you see, the mind can really downplay this discovery, but this is what we have to deeply sit with and contemplate, because you just yourself through this sort of looking come to seeing that I am here, I am, yet what appears, the activity of the body, the changefulness of the world, and the changefulness of the mental states, everything that I call me is not what I am, is not what this, which the closest to close, at the heart, what I experience myself to be, that it is not that. This automatically, actually, at some level, will also reduce your resistance to falling for those states. At that point, because who cares so deeply, oh, I don't want to be angry, or I don't want to fall for this, or I always want to be in a sort of a calm, blissful state. It is just another mental notion. It is just another sort of belief system or like a mental desire, or whatever it may be, which also is, observed by you, that one which is not a mental state that is changing. So when we come back to this, acknowledging this fact again and again. This is where you can say this is the very sort of direct pointing. This is where the identification with all of these states start. It's already crumbling. When you're asked, so let me share my screen with you again. So in the moment you're asked, as what are you aware of these changeful states? These are all the changeful states. Your experience of the world, your situation, circumstances, and your experience of the mind, thoughts, feelings, sensation. It's literally just this. We've compartmentalized all of that perceptual experience into just these little buckets, which right now we are immersed in. The moment you are asked, as what do you observe these states change, while you yourself do not change? In that moment, it brings you to a state of self-awareness where you are no longer immersed and focused in what you are aware of, but rather you become aware of the fact of being aware. As you said, right? Like when I asked you that question, um, who are you that observes this? And you say something along the lines of knowingness or awareness, which you find is none of these things, because all of these things are something there's an awareness of. So for the first time, let's say, you become aware of not something, but you become aware of awareness itself. It's a state of self-awareness. and it's quiet. In the moment of self awareness, your personal problems don't even exist. Your overwhelm isn't even important. In this moment of self awareness, the person you take yourself to be, that you mix up this self with, that you take to be the self, is literally non-existent until again it comes into your focus.
Mhm.
You know, so the personal state is a state of being focused in an appearance, and it's a state of self-identification. Whereas such a question, who am I, or what observes the changefulness of everything we call real, it brings you to a self-awareness. These visuals should facilitate this understanding. Please do not get attached to the visuals themselves. Everything we're aware of is right here in these two layers. This is the experience of the world and the body, and this is the experience of all. One time you feel excited, then you feel painful, then you feel sad, then you feel empowered, then you feel depressed, then you feel happy, then you feel this and that and this and that. But you yourself, your experience of yourself is always I. No matter how much the body changes in appearance, in functionality, no matter how much the mind changes, no matter how much the self-image changes, no matter how much the personality, the belief systems change, everything you call yourself, no matter how much all of this stuff changes, your experience of yourself is always I. When asked such a question, what observes these changeful states, right? The only answer is me, but on a conceptual level, the only answer is me. But what is the word me pointing to? You see, it just brings you to yourself as the just witnessing, formless knowing. In that moment, the witnessing, the awareness is also not being attributed to any of these things. Usually it's being attributed to, meaning it feels that the the sensations, the bundle of sensations we call the body is doing awareness or is having awareness. So we attribute awareness as like a byproduct of the perceptual activity. This is the paradigm we live in and we are conditioned with. Nothing wrong with it,
Mhm.
but it is limited. It creates this dysfunction. So in the moment of
Yes.
self remembrance, self awareness, you're simply aware, not as a something, but simply aware. This is the point of all of our discussions, to just guide you here, because then from here it's just dwell here. The rest will take care of itself. Then we discussed, and it is a part of this actually slideshow, where we talked about how you must meditate on your beingness, which is what that question is pointing to, and then all of your answers will arise from meditation. Self-awareness is non-conceptual being. In that moment, you're not being something, a somebody, someone. You're simply being. in that moment, the entire conceptual world is at rest. It may still, it's still going to be there, right? It's there and it's happening. Sounds are still going to be there, appearing, disappearing. I won't go there actually. That's for next time. But uh, you're simply being, and that because the conceptual. So for the dysfunction and the suffering and the belief systems to continue to operate as they are, you need to be in a state of self-immersion, self-identification with these things, with the perceptual experience. But in a state of self-awareness, all of these things are no longer being supported through your attention, through your identification, through your reality. And therefore, in a state of self-awareness, the clouds start to disperse. As the clouds are dispersing, what remains? It's just proper understanding, clarity. Which again, the mind may react to as a sense of freedom and a sense of feeling really light and peaceful. But again, these are states not to be clinged to, not to be chased as a spiritual experience, but rather just it yeah, it's just what the flavor that comes into experience maybe. But stick with this question, with this observing